why losing weight can actually be easier than keeping it off. I mean, a lot of people can lose weight, and I'm sure you've done it many, many times. But the real frustration becomes when you slowly go back to the old habit patterns and the weight just keeps creeping on. Usually you wind up gaining more than you lost on the diet, okay? The good news is you can lose weight without dieting and keep it off, okay? I'm going to talk about that. You see, losing it isn't always the problem. I mean, people can follow a plan. You can follow some diet for up to a point, okay? And initially the motivation is high. But you see, when you go on a quote-unquote diet, when you're dieting, okay, what happens? Yes, you can lose some weight. You can struggle to lose 20 pounds and easily gain back 25 or 30. That's very common. You see, in the beginning your motivation is high, but as you stick to some unnatural diet, your body begins to crave more food because you're starving it. Now, there is another side effect. Yes, you could be losing weight. The worst part is that when you're dieting, when your body's being deprived, it slows down your metabolism so that you can survive. But after you go off the diet, with a slower metabolism, you easily gain back everything you lost and then some as a bonus. That's the reality. And I'm sure you've done that a few times. So, short-term change can happen. Yes. But that's not what you want, is it? You want long-term. You want to keep it off. Get nice and slim. You know, like the old saying, like a bottle of Coke, whatever, right? And keep it off without having to struggle. And that's the key here. Look, if it's hard, if you're struggling all the time, eventually you're going to fall back. Now, why is that? I've talked about this in some of my other videos, but let's get into it. You see, your lifestyle habit patterns. You love to eat this, you love to eat that, and so on and so forth. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. That lifestyle, your eating pattern, your exercise pattern or lack thereof, is burnt in to your subconscious mind. And your whole mind, there's two parts to it. There's the conscious you, the you that's listening to me right now. And then there's the subconscious part of your mind, which is the biggest part of your mind. It's like an iceberg. You're just at the very top, above water. The biggest part is underneath, the part of your mind that you don't know. But that's where the habit patterns are buried. And here's the problem. I mean, you can struggle with willpower and succeed for a period of time. However, these subconscious habit patterns, they are and they always will be stronger than your willpower. And it's not that you lack willpower. Don't get me wrong here. It's because that's just the way we're made up as human beings. But once you understand the simplicity of how your mind works, making that subconscious change is easy. I've taught this to kids. You see, whatever you go through in life, you go through some stress patterns and so on, all these things are buried in. You get stressed out, you start eating more. That's a common problem, And these are familiar behaviors. You're comfortable with them. Because like they're a part of you. They're burnt in. You see, your mind is like a computer, All these little programs and apps and so on in the computer or your phone, you see, they run underneath. You don't even know. There's all kinds of things happening just to create some simple thing that you want to do. And your mind is the same way. There's all this stuff going on. But you see, as in a computer, you control what programs run, how they run, in what way, and so on. You don't have to be a computer genius to do that. Kids do it, 5-year-olds. See? So the whole idea is take charge of your mind. It's not hard. You were built, created, evolved, whatever you want to believe, to function that way. To be able to take charge of your life and do the things that you want to do, not what somebody else wants you to do. You see, willpower is temporary. You know that. You can only stick to something that's different from what you normally do for a certain amount of time before you fall back to that old program again. You know, life gets busy and you do things automatically without even thinking. I'll give you a good example. Let's say you jump into your car and you drive to the mall. You're pulling into a parking spot and you suddenly realize you don't remember the last 20 miles. Yet you made the proper stops, the proper turns, etc., and got to where you wanted to go. But your mind was elsewhere. Maybe talking to a friend. Maybe your mind was on, a meeting that's coming up or whatever. So how did you get there without any problems? Because your subconscious mind was driving. You see? With repetition over the years, when you began to learn how to drive, in the beginning it was like, hey, don't talk to me, I'm driving. Right? But with repetition, you do it automatically. And your eating lifestyle can be the same way. Automatically healthier. You see, in my training, diet is the one big no-no. The one thing that we don't do. That's one of the rules. You do not diet. You see, the goal is not constant self-control. You get tired after a while, right? No, The new behaviors need to become normal. And they'll become normal when you put the behaviors in your subconscious mind. I can't do that for you. But I can show you how to do it. It's easy. It's fun. Like I said, I had kids doing it. You see, so instead of dealing with the outside, I need to lose weight. No, focus on the inside. Let's set up your new lifestyle and integrate that into your subconscious mind. Then the whole process becomes fun and easy. And more importantly, you'll achieve your goals and you'll keep it off. You see, by reprogramming, the healthier choices begin to feel increasingly familiar, if you will. It feels right. You go on some drastic diet, it doesn't feel right, does it? No, because you're harming your body, making your problem worse. I mean, you can keep on doing that, or you can say, hey, let's go in a slightly different direction. Say, Armand, show me how to take control of my subconscious programs. Actually, it's funny because that's how I first got involved in weight control way back in 1981. I was teaching a number of classes. These were done live, small classes, about a dozen, because we had small classrooms. And anyway, teaching people how to take charge of their minds. And I had this one particular class, and almost every single person in that class had the same question. Here's the question, and I quote, Armand, how do we use these mental techniques that you're teaching us in order to change our lifestyle so that we can keep the weight off? At least back then, today not so much, but back then, they understood that the problem was with the lifestyle. Oh, that's easy. Here's how you do it. I teach people how to make the movie in your mind. It's easy. It's like all you need. Basically, what you're doing is fantasizing, but in a special way, and that's why it's fun, by the way. In a special way that has the power to it that makes the changes you're looking for. I mean, I'd like to know in the comments, what habit keeps returning for you? Just pop it in there, give you an idea. Ask me questions, If there's enough demand on that question, enough likes to it or whatever, I'll do a video on it. And also, by the way, we're going to be winding up some live events coming up, so, make sure you stay tuned. Now, one of those live events is going to be a totally free masterclass where you get to understand how to use your imagination the right way and give you an actual experience of the alpha brainwave state. So learning to function at alpha and theta, it's really easy. It helps you to de-stress automatically, one of the side effects, okay? And when you learn to go into alpha, for example, you run the movie as we show you to. It's really easy. And you're changing the programming of your own subconscious mind. I mean, you don't need to go to alpha. You can just keep doing it in your normal day-to-day. And you can keep that movie going. And eventually, yes, you'll have reprogrammed your subconscious mind. Okay? But it takes quite a while doing it. And most people can't keep something up that long, especially without results immediately. But if you're functioning at the alpha, you reprogram it in a very short period of time, usually 2-3 weeks for most people. Learn to function at theta, maybe a week, maybe 2, to change a lifelong habit that's harming you. So the question may not simply be, how do I lose the weight? But rather it should be, how do I lose the weight in a way that is going to stay off? That's the real question you want to ask yourself. Now, I talked about dieting. I'm not going to get deeply into it. But every single diet, there are no exceptions here. If you're quote-unquote dieting, you're slowing your metabolism and making the problem worse. That's what's happening. Another better question might be, how do I change the habits that keep bringing me back to where I started? Now, as I said earlier, if you've experienced that, tell me in the comments. What's the one old habit that you know is not conducive to losing weight and keeping it off? What's the one old habit that keeps coming back? Now, if you want to go deeper into how I teach people to work with those patterns, keep an eye open for my upcoming weight loss masterclass. As I mentioned earlier, we'll give you an actual experience. So you can come just for the de-stressing, okay? It's a 20-minute alpha experience. It'll allow you to de-stress and look at life a little bit differently, if you will. And so, I hope I've given you something to think about. Like, why struggle when doing it the right way is not a struggle, but more importantly, the weight will stay off. That's the goal. Oh, and by the way, I don't have any strenuous exercises whatsoever. Those burn mostly sugar, by the way. That's a different issue. That's something for a whole video. The ultimate fat burning exercise is walking. But there's about a dozen secrets you need to learn. They're not hard, just doing it slightly differently. And you can turn your body into a fat burning machine. All the gyms, the weights, and all those machines, they burn predominantly sugar. That's why you can work your butt off for a week, get back up on the scale, and you've gained 1.5 pounds. Why? Because you've put on some muscle, yes. But that muscle didn't burn off any fat because it burns only sugar. See, they catch you in a loop. Now, the personal trainers and the gyms won't tell you that, because if you know how to walk the right way, you don't need them anymore. They don't know how to walk the right way. They start you out walking if you're really out of shape, and then what happens? Then they put you to heavier machines after that. You might be starting to lose, but now you stop because you're now burning sugar. So that way is a no-win situation. So I look forward to meeting you in the masterclass and helping you on this journey. Au revoir.